Good old Uncle Walt warned Annette that it wasn't in her best interest to do one very particular thing. And for the most part, Annette, who was forever grateful to Disney for her success, well, she tried to heed his warning. What am I talking about exactly? Give me a couple of minutes and I'll do my best to explain all. But before I get going, I have to give credit where credit is due. I got the idea for this video from the July 2022 issue of Remind magazine, which this month is all about summer fun. And if you go all the way back to the 60s, beach party movies were an integral part of summertime fun. And the queen of those movies was none other than former Mouseketeer Annette Funicello. Along with Frankie Avalon, Annette starred in a bunch of beach movies during that decade. Her first beach movie was aptly titled Beach Party, and then there was Muscle Beach Party, Bikini Beach, Beach Blanket Bingo, and How to Stuff a Wild Bikini. All of those movies were released in just the span of 3 years, 1963 to 1965, a pretty darn short period of time for so many movies. But apparently, they didn't take long to make. These flicks weren't high art, if you know what I mean. Instead, these movies specialized in delivering a fun, lightweight story, occasionally a few songs, and a bunch of good-looking people in swimsuits. It was a formula that worked over and over again for American International Pictures. And even though Annette was no longer actively part of the Disney stable of talent, Walt, well, he always acted like something of a father figure to her. After all, it was Walt who found Annette years earlier and asked her to be part of his new show, The Mickey Mouse Club. Walt always thought of Annette as America's sweetheart, and he was worried about what these beach movies might do to her wholesome reputation. His advice, his warning, was that she shouldn't wear a bikini, and under no circumstances should she ever show her navel. Now, I use the word warned, but because of the strong relationship between the two, Annette thought of it more as counsel and guidance. She truly valued what Walt had to say, and for the most part, she did her darndest to adhere to the spirit of that counsel. And as such, Annette's swimsuits, when they had two pieces, they were extremely modest. But every now and again, that darn belly button found a way to make an appearance. I know, utterly scandalous. For the life of me, I don't understand why some folks found that offensive. Speaking of those wonderful, wacky beach movies, the July 2022 edition of Remind magazine also has a great article on the drive-in theaters where those beach movies typically played. I remember going to the drive-in during the 70s and even the 80s. Of course, by that time, the drive-in wasn't where most movies were viewed. With the advent of the multiplex theater, drive-ins were pretty much a thing of the past, as are the wonderful B-movies that so frequently played there. The July 2022 edition of Remind magazine also dedicates a few pages to some of the very best B-movies that there ever were. One of my favorites was Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, which, by the way, is also a fantastic song by a band called The Tubes. Definitely check both of them out if you get a chance. In this same issue, you will find a section dedicated to the year 1968. Holy cow, gas was just 34 cents a gallon back then. Wow, these days I'd be ecstatic to find gas at 10 times that price. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood premiered in February of '68, and the Batman TV show that I so dearly love ended its 3-season run in March. Big movies in 1968 were The Love Bug, Planet of the Apes, and Rosemary's Baby. And when you need a break from all of the fun articles, there are oodles of puzzles to work through. 12 action-packed pages of crosswords, word searches, Sudoku, and more. I'm kind of jonesing to get going on that crossword puzzle pictured here. It's all about science fiction TV shows, which I definitely know a thing or two about. And as always, the icing on the cake each month in Remind magazine is the ultimate trivia section. This month, you're challenged to demonstrate just how well you remember drive-in movies. Just looking at those pictures, I can tell you that I'm going to have fun with this one as well. Like they say on the cover, the past truly is a blast. I'll post a link to the magazine's online subscription form in the description section of this video. As a reminder, I am not receiving any sort of financial compensation for this video from the good people over at Remind magazine. I'm just a big fan of their work. Folks, I'd love a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and I would be absolutely honored if you would consider subscribing to my channel. I talk about music, movies, and mostly TV from decades gone by. You know, the good stuff. But most importantly, and as always, thank you so much for watching.